What are you doing?
I'm reversing the polarity of the ultrasonic screwdriver's power source.
Reverse the polarity.
Reverse the polarity.
I just reversed the polarity.
Welcome to The Fan and the Fool, everyone. My name is Matt Antonelli, I am the fan.
My name's Alex Cameron and I am the fool.
I don't know how I've said that the other times. I've said I'm the fan, I'm Matt Antonelli, or vice versa.
I'm pretty sure you've said I'm the fan, Matt Antonelli.
Okay. Well, we'll just change things up a bit.
Sounds like we're going to today from
Yes.
our earlier discussion.
Oh no, you can't. Don't tell anyone that we've spoken earlier.
This is all not planned. Well, it actually isn't. Cause
it isn't really because you don't know what's happening.
No.
So...
I've just been told that it's not planned, so we planned that.
Yes. We've got a couple of things to do.
Okay.
Okay, so the first thing is...
I'm nervous.
My watch just said ding because I've done enough exercise for the day, even though I'm sitting down.
Oh, well, it's time to go home. Thank you, everyone, for listening.
And then...
You've got 90 on the calculator.
That's not to do with this. That's to do with the video game I was playing before you arrived.
I see.
How
many Pokemon?
Oh, no, it's called Advance Wars.
Oh.
They're doing a reboot. It's going to be very good. But we have to watch the second half. We've watched the second half of the Keys of Marinus.
Yes.
So we're going to talk about that.
Yes, very interesting.
But, rather than, I think I almost said last lesson, like I'm still teaching. Last recording,
Mr. A.
Last recording, we talked a lot at the start.
We did.
So is that a question or a statement?
No, I said yes, we did.
Okay.
I was there. I remember.
So I think we should get started.
Okay, let's start.
So I've brought a thing again.
The thing I have to judge whether it's Doctor Who or not.
It is for those people listening, or I'm assuming it will be an image up on
the YouTube
Insta.
Yes, on
both
stuff,
of things. Social medias, there'll be stuff.
There'll be stuffs.
So don't take it out of the. It's in a plastic box. Don't take it out of the plastic box.
Can I pick it up and then?
Oh yeah.
Look all around, or is there a spot?
I don't know if there's a thing that would give it away.
Check.
I don't think there's a thing that would give it away.
Okay.
It's very small. I mean, he'll describe it.
It's a very small man figurine type thing standing on what looks like, and I know it's not this, but it's like a poker chip. It's just shaped like that.
It's not.
And it's a man holding a mace.
Yep.
He looks kind of like Age of Empires-y.
Okay.
The Bombardier, there you go. 8, 9, 17, 2. Lightning bolt. Okay. I think I'm going to be... I have a feeling I'm going to be wrong about this, but I'm going to say it is not a Doctor Who thing.
It is not
Yes.
a Doctor Who thing.
I don't know if I've lost yet.
You haven't lost yet.
I had a feeling it could be like a, auxiliary sort of character.
There is a thing that does give it away. On the bottom there's the Assassin's Creed symbol.
Oh, okay.
So there is a thing there.
I wouldn't have recognised that.
The Bombardier is a character from Assassin's Creed 2.
Ooh.
So you fight him and you're Ezio. And this is called... Everyone, I don't really care that's in plastic, so I'm just going to take it out.
You just told me I wasn't allowed to touch it.
Yeah, no, because I want to pretend that it was really dear to me.
Oh,
Not really dear to me.
Oh, man.
It's a HeroClix, so it's like a figurine game.
Oh.
And if I had like a little, there's like a ring that goes with it that you wear to turn the base, but those are his powers. So the lightning bolt means he has a range of 0 because it says 0 next to the lightning bolt.
There you go.
So because he's just holding a mace, and as we learned, I chose him because I was like, there's a mace that features in today's episode.
Clever. For a second, I was like, that's not what I remember holding a mace. So I was like, it can't be that thing from that episode.
Ooh.
So did you put it in plastic to make me think that because you might have valued it was a Doctor Who thing?
It is still in plastic. I've got about 80 of these next door.
Oh.
Most of them are like Marvel or DC characters. But this is, but there were some very special Assassin's Creed ones released.
Yeah.
So I bought all of them.
Are there any Doctor Who ones?
No.
Now you can never use that one again.
Well, no.
If you'd said maybe, then you could have shown me a similar one in the
What
future.
if I'm lying now?
You said it with such truthfulness.
I am truthful. I am the
that's
truthful.
That's a different thing. But anyway.
Okay, so we're gonna do another thing.
Here we go.
I don't know. But this is episode 6.
Something like that.
Okay, I'm gonna say it's 6, but eventually.
Might be 5. Anyway.
I should probably point out the fact that we're recording all of these ones and then we're going to release them.
Yes, so at this point in time in our lives, we have not yet released an episode. We're going to after this, I believe.
Yes, and then we will, I think, do them in real time.
Week by week.
Yeah, so then people, it's like, I don't know, if something happens in the world and people are like, why aren't they talking, how are they still meeting about, you know what I mean? How come they're still meeting face to face?
Why aren't they answering my 11 questions about why they're wrong about this one aspect of this one episode, of this one arc, of this one series of Doctor Who Classic?
Yes, this half of this arc?
Yes.
Of this series.
And that one aspect of it. We will start answering questions soon if you have any.
We had to pick a theme song. So I'm going to listen to some themes right now and we're going to decide which one's best. Or I'm going to decide which one's the best. Am I deciding?
Hang on. Okay, this is weird because it's on the recording.
Yeah.
I've shown you 3 in the past that you didn't like. I now have 1 for you. There's only 1.
Oh.
So if you don't like it, that's the end of the segment. We'll find something else.
The Fan and the Fool. Music? Is it called music? Is it this one that says reverse the polarity?
Yes.
Oh, that's good.
That's what you said. You said that's a phrase that works.
Yes. So for those playing at home, like it's a game show, we had a discussion Sunday. That was tell me some things that the doctor would say.
I wanted some things to throw into a theme song.
So the reverse the polarity is what I said. And for those listening, they'll be like, ooh, famous John Pertwee line.
And the TARDIS sound effect.
Okay, ready?
Here we go.
What are you doing?
I'm reversing the polarity of my ultrasonic screwdriver's power source.
Reverse the polarity.
Reverse the polarity.
I just reversed the polarity.
Reverse the polarity.
He's reversed the polarity. Reverse the polarity of the neutron.
Reverse polarity.
Reverse the polarity. Reverse the polarity.
Reverse the polarity.
Now, here's a weird point in time. If this was a Christopher Nolan movie, this would be excellent because if you liked that, the listeners would have heard that at least 5 times by now. If they don't know what that is.
I love it.
Good. It took me a little while. I'm like, I hope this works.
As soon as it starts, I was like, yes. It's funny though because I love it as a song, but it doesn't say the title of our podcast in it. So perfect. No, I love it.
I never thought about that. Maybe we can update it over time.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes. No, I thoroughly enjoyed every second of that.
There you go.
I want to make it my ringtone.
Even though the listeners have heard this a few times, that's the first time you've ever heard it.
Can I make that my ringtone?
Absolutely.
I love it.
Also, if you put in headphones...
I'm almost crying because it's awesome.
The effects will sound so much better because some of the stuff that echoes kind of goes back. You know the part where he's like, the polarity! It kind of goes like this, left and right. And the background sound that kind of holds it all together and moves the beat along is the TARDIS landing sound effect.
Oh, is it? I didn't notice.
Yes, you did.
Yes, I did.
It's the first thing that starts.
Oh my gosh.
I'm glad you liked it because I thought it's going to be pretty cool, but I don't know.
That's because you are the fool.
I am the fool, and I'm also using a phrase that I don't know what it's from yet in the show.
But it's foreshadowing.
Foreshadowing. Okay, good. We can keep this segment in because you liked the song.
I loved it.
You can absolutely use it for whatever you want.
Good. You heard it here. I'm going to release it as a sound. I'm just going to extend it. I'm just going to repeat it. And then release it on Spotify or something.
Yeah, you should. That's going to be something we put out as part of our thing. So.
Ooh.
Good times.
I really enjoyed that. Okay, so let's get to the second. Okay, so maybe do you want to give us a real quick recap. Where were we at the end of the last episode?
At the end of the last episode, they had finally the crew, apart from the Doctor. He was not yet around.
Nope, still on holidays.
Still on holidays. The rest of the crew have escaped through to a very cold, snowy area. That was the last thing we saw.
What?
They escaped into the snow. Out of the screaming jungle.
We've done that. We did the snow one.
Oh. That's the first episode of
I'm
this.
an idiot.
You're scaring me.
I'm on the wrong page.
Oh man, because
The Snows of Terror. Yeah, no, sorry. I do have you were like, how many pages is it? And I've got like, I've only got 1 page of notes, but I've got 2 whole pages of
okay,
notes.
it made me freak me out because I'm like, maybe I've missed an episode or something.
So now I am the fool.
You are. I am the fan.
No, you're still a fool.
Oh, we're a couple of fools.
just a couple of fools.
So that's where we're up to. We haven't seen the Doctor yet, and they've also got a couple of extra companions with them.
Yes.
Altos and Bethesda.
It's not Bethesda.
It's not? She didn't release
An
acclaimed award-winning video game series?
I wrote Sebetha.
Sebetha.
Bethesda. I found this episode a little creepy.
I did, but I also liked it.
Okay.
Can I just say...
because of the creepiness?
No, not necessarily
Okay,
that.
good.
If that's done well, I can enjoy it, but that's not why I liked it. Can I just say one thing before we start?
Yes.
These 3 episodes totally saved this story arc. They are so good.
Really?
You didn't like them?
No, I did.
I thought you were the fan.
I am the fan.
They were way better than the first 3. Give me that.
But I still really like the episode 2 where like that weird everything's nice but it's not nice kind of thing.
Yeah, that was good. But I remember we ended the last episode of this podcast being like, I'm not really feeling the story arc. We both kind of were like,
Yeah. Well, it's hard because it's like I think what I said was because each part of just doing the old is it still recording check because each one is like in a different location as opposed to all being in one space.
Yes.
It's hard to be like this is really good. Like they kind of one's good and one's not so great, and it kind of like goes up
Pretty
and down a bit like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this one's good. I like the Snows of Terror.
I loved these 3 episodes.
It was snow... No, that sounds bad. It was snow very good. No, very good. Because I wanted it to be like so very good, but with snow, but that also sounds like no. Okay, Barbara wakes up.
Anyone listening, I just was not going to respond to
No,
that.
I knew you wouldn't.
That's
Barbara
horrible.
wakes up in
She
the
does.
snow. She's got no idea where she is.
Oh, have you written these down or are you just rolling with it?
I'm just rolling with them. There's lots of snow going on. Well, first of all, they get there and she's like, I can't walk or whatever because it's really cold.
It is cold.
And then she goes to sleep.
As you do when you're going to freeze to death.
Yeah, I guess you do that. Or like you go unconscious. I don't know if you'd be like, I must sleep.
But not immediately.
No.
You've got to have a few minutes of trying to fight your way through, wouldn't you?
Yes, I suppose. But Ian goes down pretty quick after as well.
He does.
And so she wakes up. You know, I have paused on this bit where she wakes up.
Yes, it's on the screen, a picture of Barbara looking up very sadly away from the snow.
I've got the way Barbara wakes up is weird.
Okay.
At 1 minute 17.
Are you going to show me?
Yeah, do you want to see it?
I do. I have weird notes for some of the other episodes, but not this, so I'm curious.
Watch this. Did you see that?
Yeah, they've just reversed that clip, haven't they?
They've gone, maybe she was supposed to get up, and they're like, actually, don't get up. We'll just put it in reverse.
Man, some of these episodes have weird things.
Yeah.
Weird editing choices.
Because I reckon we're going to get to... Like, this episode's not so bad with this. There are some things in this episode that don't make sense.
Yeah.
But in the next episode, there's more things that don't make sense.
But they're fun.
Yeah, they're just having a good time with it.
He's having a good time with it. Is the idea there because she... This is how I interpreted what you just showed me. She wakes up, she sees that guy, and it makes her faint. Or has she just succumbed to the snow?
I think she's just succumbed to the snow. Why'd she wake up at all?
I don't know. But it literally looks like they've played the clip forward, had the guy show his face, and then just reversed the same clip as if they ran out of footage of her falling back down.
Maybe. It probably saves money.
Probably saves money.
But I thought then it was weird. So he takes them to his hut.
It's just some stranger with a weird fur coat who looks
I
slightly
didn't-
menacing.
I don't think
at
I
this
quite
point.
got his name.
I don't know if we got it. No, then we must.
No,
have
we
been
do.
given
We
a
do
name.
get his name. We do. He does say it, but I can't remember what it is. Oh, I can do this. I can do this.
Have a look-see.
Cast. Where's the cast?
Anyway, the whole idea is, after this, I'm just saying this while you search, they fall asleep in the snow. It looks like they're going to freeze to death, and then a man in a big woolly sort of fur coat, kid out, looking slightly menacing, a stranger they've never seen before, takes them back to his cabin to rescue them, basically. Or is that what's going to happen?
I can't even find him.
That's where we're up to.
His name is Fur Coat Man.
Fur coat man.
Yeah.
Okay.
I made that up.
Yeah, I figured that.
Unless it's this guy. Oh no, that's from the next bit. That's the next one.
Dun, dun.
Yes, I don't know who he is.
Fur coat man.
Fur Coat Man.
Takes them back to his cabin to save them from the snow. And he
Yeah.
seems to be a nice guy.
Yeah, doesn't he just? Because it's just weird. Don't you think it's a bit weird?
Well, he's scowling at them the entire time, but other than that, he seems nice.
Yeah, but he takes them back with the help of Altos.
Yes.
Who he then... Who we don't know at this point what's happened to him. But they're friends.
Apparently.
Oh, our coffee's arriving. Do you want me to hit pause?
Pause.
Sorry, we paused quickly because I could get coffee. But I just wanted to point out that the other thing I bought is a jammy dodger.
Matthew has a big smile on his face because he thinks that will mean things to people who are whodunits.
Mm-hmm.
Whovians?
It's definitely not a button of any kind. Alright, so,
Whoa!
Whoa.
Reference I don't understand. Got him.
it's really dry though. We were talking about
By the way, before we go any
Fur
further,
Coat Man. Yeah, go on. I just need a drink.
in what context other than this episode of Doctor Who have you seen the word snow be pluralized with an S? Snow is already a plural.
The snows of terror.
Look at all the snow. Look at that snow of terror.
Well, you know what they say.
I love playing in the snows.
He knows what he's talking about.
Oh, jeez. Is it just so people like you can make puns? Oh, no.
Okay, Fur Coat meant... Okay, we are so too... Like, this is like 20 minutes into it. We're barely through the first episode.
There's a lot to talk about.
They're in his hut,
Yes.
and they're like... Susan wakes up first, but he rubs her hands, like, weirdly. I don't understand what he's doing. He's like, get the circulation back, frostbite.
Your hands have frostbite. Here,
He's
let
like-
me be creepy.
Yeah, and he rubs her hands, and she's just kind of like, yeah, sure, whatever, man.
She's kind of not sure how to take it. I think
She's probably just happy to be alive at the moment.
she's happy to be alive. She recognises that he basically is the reason she's alive right now, but she's kind of a bit sus on his intentions, I think.
Yeah, I have two of his, like, early quotes. I thought you might appreciate them.
Go ahead.
Last year, I broke the back of a wolf with my bare hands. So if someone was like, because the way he's like, he's like, are you scared of me or whatever? And she's like, I don't think so. And he's just like,
This
no.
is during the hand rubbing, I believe.
Yeah, and he's just like, well, I broke a wolf with my bare hands. And he says it in a way where he's like, are you impressed by my wolf breaking abilities?
Hey, ladies?
I found that a bit weird. And
I think he was also not happy that she didn't really seem bothered by that.
Yes. Like, because she was just like, yeah, okay, cool.
Whatever.
So, like, I guess by now you've been to enough places where you're like, sure, this guy breaks wolves.
By the way, that screenshot of him on the screen there, that's what's going to be for most of the episode.
From our
On YouTube.
Oh.
Anyway, go ahead. Other quotes.
Other quotes. Wolves would have eaten you first. So she was like, you know, we would have frozen to death out there. And he was like, nah, the wolves would have eaten you.
Mm-hmm.
How good's that? That's very uplifting. And this is later, once Ian... We'll talk about Ian leaves.
Yep.
We must fatten you up.
That was weird.
So, is he going to eat her as well? It's a bit weird. It's a bit full on.
And he's obsessed with wolves, is what I'm taking from this as well.
Well, there's lots of shots of wolves in this, isn't there? Live shots. They use trained animals on this.
I'm trying to remember if I saw one. There must have been
you
one.
You did. You
Okay.
would have remembered them because it's stock footage. It's like, there's a wolf, and the wolf's just like...
You're waiting for David and Attenborough to comment on what they're doing.
Yes.
But there was a lot of shots, not including wolves, but we're told wolves are off screen slightly.
And you hear them howl. That's how you
true.
know they're there.
That's how you know they're there.
Yeah. So Ian's fur coat man, he says, Altos helped me get you here, and then he's gone off to look for for Susan and Sebetha.
I keep wanting to say Bethesda.
And Ian's like, well, we got to go out there. And he's like, well, I don't want to go out there because I don't want to die or whatever. And Ian's like, give me some fur then. And he's like, no, this ain't for free. And so Ian gives him the
fur man doesn't like to give away his furs.
No. Ian gives him the travel dial in exchange for warm clothes so he can go outside.
Try to find them.
Now, I don't want to, like, if the guy isn't going to be that helpful, right?
Go ahead.
And you're going to leave Barbara with this man.
Who, I quote, it's time to fatten you up.
Yeah.
A
Well, I
lady.
mean, to be fair, he says it after Ian leaves.
Oh, does he? Okay,
Yeah.
that makes more sense.
But I just thought it was weird that he was like, yeah, I'll just leave you here with this stranger who seems a bit creepy. I mean, and later he seems alright with, like, overpowering him or whatever. Just the two of you just take him down.
Yeah. It's very weird.
Yeah, so Ian leaves her and he locks the door immediately. And by the way, another quote that he says, nothing can get in here, nothing can get out.
The door apparently locks both ways.
Yeah, well done. Things can get out. You just have to undo the lock.
Which we'll find out about later. But yes, for some reason he decided to... I mean, if your plan is to do something to someone, why are you telling them this? Like you're a James Bond villain giving your plan away.
Yeah.
Let's get you nice and fat, and by the way, you're not getting out of here.
And the other thing he says is, now we're alone. And he kind of, like, grabs, like, onto her shoulders. Creepy.
Furman likes the shoulders.
Ugh. Every time I was just like, oh, that's gross.
It's pretty gross.
So he also gave her Fur Coat Man give Ian a bag
Yes.
as well. He's like, you need this.
Yes.
Ian doesn't question what's in the bag, by the way.
Doesn't look, doesn't ask.
Just takes it.
Yeah.
But I guess if a strange man gave you a bag, you just take the bag. No, right? I don't know.
If it's a strange man that you're willing to abandon a good friend of yours in a cabin with, maybe you would take the bag. What could go wrong?
Yeah, lots of things.
Yeah.
So he finds Altos in the middle of the snow
Yep.
by the ledge, I think it was called.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
Something like that.
By the way, Altos, I put this in here several times. Put some pants on.
Yes.
The whole time, he's got like a proper like top with sleeves, and he's just like wearing underpants.
You think the fur man was bad with his fur coats? How about this dude with his fur undies?
Yeah,
Is basically what he's wearing and no pants.
in the snow.
Well, I mean, he didn't know snow was going to be there.
He had
But now
no
snow
idea
is there.
that it was going to happen. So,
Well, that guy would have seen the script and he could have been like, hey, can I wear something other than this fur G-string you've got me wearing around these
Ugh.
parts?
and then also like then they're like they had to warm up his legs. So he reveals that the fur coat man is really the bad guy here, and that he's left Susan and I keep wanting to say Barbara, but Barbara's just trapped with him in a hut. But Susan and Sebetha are up in a cave somewhere.
Furman's put them in some cave
Yeah. Or well, he's left them there anyway.
with flint and wood. I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah. He's like, you can make a fire. Isn't he lovely?
But Altos is very clear this is not a good man.
No. And Ian had already traded his time dial for the travel dial for the fur coat stuff.
By the way, another episode where Ian's wearing something fancy. Now he's wearing a fur coat.
He likes changing up his clothes.
He does.
And Altos is like, no, this is no good. We have to go back and save Barbara. So some wolves appear. So you do
There's
see
the
wolves.
wolves.
You see wolves.
The hypothetical wolves are there.
Turns out, guy just gave Ian a big bag of raw meat, which drew their attention. And then,
Nanny realizes, wow, this guy might be a bad guy.
oh, probably should go get Barbara. Probably shouldn't have left Barbara alone with a creepy man. And so, at this point, Barbara's like, you're actually, like, she sees the other travel dials in the drawer.
Yes.
And then she's like, he's like, get out of there. And he like throws her to the ground or something. And that's all looking pretty bad.
Pretty bad.
And then Ian and Altos rock up, and she manages to get the door. Like, she bites him, doesn't she? He grabs her, the Furman grabs Barbara, and she bites his arm.
There's a struggle for him to try to keep the door closed, and she's trying to let the guys in, obviously, to help her.
Yeah. And look, they both come in, but I would like to point out something.
Yeah.
He's a large man.
He's a very big fur man.
And he gives up pretty easily, and he becomes pretty rubbish from that point on.
Pretty docile.
Because he's just like, well, there's three of you.
You got me.
You got me. And then...
Never mind that I live out here by myself in the cold, surrounded by wolves, and have
breaking the spines of wolves. And the moment Ian's like, you're going to take us up there, he's like, oh, okay.
And by the way, Ian and Altos do not look like big guys.
No. Although, you know, the doctor did say Ian's the one that can protect them.
He's resourceful.
Very strong. He's resourceful. The doctor, who, again, is not in this episode.
And also, is he as resourceful as a man who can break the spines of wolves?
I would say not.
No.
So they go up to the cave.
I've just realised he's basically a giant in one of those old fairy tales. He's
like a
fattening
yeti.
up humans to eat them, and he loves fur. Fee fi fo fum.
Do giants fatten up humans to eat
Don't
them?
they?
I don't think that's part of that story.
Are you sure? Isn't the whole thing that they munch on bones? I'm going to grind your bones up into a soup or something?
Yeah, no, that's giants. Tick. But they...
Where do you think the bones come from?
But they don't fatten up them. I think they just eat them.
Oh.
Irrelevant to this.
Irrelevant. He's also not a giant. I don't know why, but it just reminded me of that.
They're going up to the caves. Now, we do cut to Susan and Sabitha,
Yep.
who are in the cave. And they're like, oh, well, we should get out of this cave, which is fair enough. So they're...
The flint has gone out and they're running out of fire. And it's starting to get
so they're
very
like, we should
cold.
get out of here. So Susan goes one way and Sabitha goes the other way, and they have a bit of like a which way is the exit. Now, so they go the way Susan was going,
Yes.
and they end up at a rope bridge,
No, they end up at a dead end first,
and then they end up at the rope bridge.
going the other way. So I think the whole point was we find out neither of them knew the way out. One is a dead end, one is taking them
Yeah,
further
but
into the
surely, if you didn't cross the rope bridge to get there, you would know that's also not the way out.
mountain. Yes. Well, I think Susan says, this is hopeless, we're getting further into the mountain.
Yes,
And
let's go
Bethesda
further.
says, let's just keep going because there must be another way out.
Yeah.
Which we find out there's no other way
Also,
out.
that's not a good phrase. There must be a way out. Must there be? If we
There's
keep
not.
going this way? Because I've been on plenty of bushwalks where you're like, oh, this must loop. Doesn't loop.
You just get to the end.
You just get to an end and you have to turn around and go back.
That's what they're doing.
In an ice frozen cave.
With rope bridges.
And styrofoam ice.
Yes,
You know
I
that?
wrote cellophane ice, but styrofoam's probably more like it.
There is cellophane as well.
It's
to make it like
very-
very glissy.
Well, you can
glistening.
hear it because it doesn't sound like ice. Whenever people are touching it, it's got that real crunchy cellophane sound to
Yeah,
it.
the crunch of snow.
Yeah,
Snowy cellophane.
crunch, crunch.
And so they get to their rope bridge.
They've decided we should cross this anyway.
And they come across demons.
Yes, the fur man seems very scared and keeps telling Ian and Barbara about the demons in the
And
mountains.
Altos is there too.
Altos is there too with his
Yeah.
fur G-string, yes.
Yep. It's not a G-string, but sure.
Hey, it was looking pretty small.
I do think Ian admits that he makes this. So they find Susan and Sabitha on the other side of the rope bridge. So they're on one side of the rope bridge, Susan's on the other, and they all go across except for the fur man.
Yes.
And then that's when he cuts the bridge.
Yes.
Yes.
Trapping them in because there is only one way out, as he tells them.
And so, one of the quotes here. So they go in. They decide to go in further because they're still after the key. So the key has to be somewhere here, right?
They can't go back anyway.
They can't go back anyway.
The
So
rope
they
bridge
go.
is cut.
We'll go further in. And Alta says, "Should I lead the way?" And I said, "That's good because he's a non-essential character. So if something happens and he's in front, perfect."
True, although that's not really a conversation they'd have on the show.
No.
I'm a non-essential character. I should
No,
go
no,
first.
but you're like, okay.
That makes sense. Did you think he was going to die?
I thought he was going to die.
That makes
I don't know
sense.
these people. This
I
person.
thought that you said
They don't even know this guy. Remember that? They just met him and he was brainwashed, and then they're like, "Yeah, join our team."
That's true.
So, take my granddaughter by yourself.
The man in the fur undies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it leads them further into the mountain.
And they come. They see the key, but it's in a big block of ice. And they find a tap. It seems very elaborate, this trap, but I guess someone has set this up.
But also, we haven't yet described what the fur man was calling the demons in the mountains.
Oh no, I don't. What was it?
They're just like big frozen soldiers. They're just like
Yeah, they're just
soldiers who are
shoulders.
frozen as if it's...
I said shoulders.
Shoulders.
Soldiers.
Furman's the one that likes the shoulders. He throws them down by the shoulders. The frozen soldiers. Well, that's what I thought they were, like guards.
Yeah, no, you're correct.
They're just frozen, almost frozen in time in front of this block of ice.
Yeah, frozen. You can like see them like moving
Very slightly.
because I guess the weapons they're holding are heavy.
Yeah.
So if you're an actor and someone was like, hold this heavy axe. And also, I think you can see them blink at some points too.
Probably. That gave it away for me because when they first go in, and there's the shot from the back of where they've just come through, and you're looking forward at these frozen soldiers, or whatever they are. They could be props,
They could be props.
but then they zoom in on them, and you can see them slightly shaking as they try to hold a weapon. So you're like, okay, they're real people. At some point,
Maybe they're shivering because it's so cold.
That's true. Maybe that's what it was.
They find a tap
They find it
that just will start melting the ice. Which I thought was weird, but I guess it melts the ice, but also sets off the guards.
Yes.
So they...
Although not very quickly.
No.
You've got plenty of time to escape if you decide to go through with the plan.
Yes. In fact, there was plenty of time to escape.
Yes.
So the ice melts, and Wildling grabs the key,
Yep.
and they bolt, because the soldiers start moving more.
I was going to say, I thought it was hilarious the way they kind of awkwardly stumbled forward while holding the weapon above them. Like, it was pretty funny to watch.
Was it?
Yes, it was. It was quality acting.
Well, I thought what was good acting was Ian. So they all leave, and Ian like holds them off, because he's strong
Yep.
and resourceful,
He is.
and he breaks part of the roof down. Do you remember that? He
The
pushes
cellophane ice.
the styrofoam ice,
Styrofoam ice.
and it falls down. So the part where I picked up was styrofoam, because I was like, this doesn't look like real ice.
No.
You know when they we might have skipped a little bit here, but they start making a bridge to cross. They make a new
Where the rope
bridge.
bridge fell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the logs of ice that they're using to build that out of, they're clearly styrofoam.
Mm-hmm.
They just look like styrofoam. I've got a quote here. Not quote. I've got a thought that I had here.
Yep.
Is Susan only brave when she's on her own? Because they're all preoccupied, and she's like, yeah, I'll cross this icy bridge. Like, she's often screaming.
The logs, yeah.
But at the moment when she's like, I can do this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Her character just seems to like
and
widely move between terrified to brave.
Yeah.
And there doesn't seem to be much in between.
No, it's pretty weird. It's pretty inconsistent.
But she grabs the rope from the rope bridge.
See, I missed that the first time. So when I watched this...
And you're like, she made a whole new rope bridge.
Yes, because she crawls across the cavern on these frozen logs, gets to the other side, and so I'm waiting for the rest of the group to do the same thing. and then suddenly they're walking across the rope bridge, and I actually thought, is this a continuity error?
I don't think it's a continuity error, but she does retie the bridge up very quickly.
Yeah, I saw. See, you don't see that, but I went back to check, and you see her grab the end of the bridge as she starts to go across from the first side.
She grabs it from that side.
I
She
didn't
must
see that.
lift it up as she goes, because it would have just been against the side of the wall, I guess.
Yeah.
Which means it would have also been heavy,
Yeah.
because it's made of wood and rope.
Well, I think the idea was that
He'd cut one of the ropes. Is that the idea? So
they both, because the entire bridge fell down and was hanging off the ledge on the other side.
Yeah.
But that's why it happened so quick. I thought they were just going to all follow her across the logs.
Well, maybe she just knows how to tie knots really fast.
Okay.
But no, it was good.
It was a good plan. It's just I don't think they showed it very clearly in the episode what she was doing.
So now that they've got a brand new rope bridge,
Yes.
they run back across,
Yeah.
and Ian cuts it so that the demons can't follow them.
Mimicking what the fur man did to them.
Yeah.
So they're trapped.
And there's like a really terrifying scream as the guy plummets to his death. Well, I don't know if he's already dead. I guess he's already dead.
No,
He's
no.
an ice soldier.
What do you mean?
So one of the ice soldiers or ice warriors.
I mean, this is not what happens, but what... Okay, let me just explain it. So, I think the idea is he's supposed to have started to cross the bridge when Ian cuts the bridge.
That is correct.
But what you see in the episode is Ian cut the bridge, it fall, and the man do a tumble off the side of the ledge because that was the only way they could shoot that.
Oh, I thought he fell while he was on the rope bridge.
No, it doesn't look like... That's what he's meant to have done.
Okay.
But if we watch it, it doesn't look like that at all.
Alex just pointed to the screen when he's... Watch it!
If you pass me the mouse, I'll try and find that spot while you keep
my
talking.
mouse isn't wireless. It's stuck. But I can find it.
He just goes for a little tumble. It looks hilarious. It's like when a child does a little tumble into the pool, off the edge of the pool. It was pretty good. It's coming. It's coming. Back. Yeah, here we go. This is it. Watch him.
Oh, yeah, he just falls. I guess he steps onto the first bit.
It's meant to be that he stepped onto the first part of the bridge, but if you look closely, he literally just stumbles off the ledge itself. Because how else were they going to film it?
He just jumped.
But
The bridge wasn't even there. He just jumped off the side of the cliff. Okay.
but what you're saying is what I think was
meant to happen. Was the
idea.
intent.
Yeah.
Oh,
Of
well,
course,
you
it's
can't get everything right, can you?
It's 1963. They weren't going to. That's why I was laughing, because it looked like a kid just bombing into a pool. But then he screams.
Yeah.
It sounded like the Willem scream, by the way, the very famous.
Yeah, no, I thought that.
Scream.
I thought it was going to be like, but obviously that wasn't around at that point.
I don't think so. I'll check, but I don't think so.
I think it was around Star Wars time, like the 70s.
The Willem scream.
Yeah.
I'll have a quick look.
So while you're looking at that, Susan screams again. I've got, but she does manage to fix the bridge.
1951 is the first time it was used.
Okay, well there you go.
It could be the Willem scream.
It does sound very similar, but it sounds like it goes for longer.
It does. Also, if you're wondering what we're talking about, the Willem scream, it's spelled Wilhelm, is a very famous, very overused stock sound effect of a scream that you've probably heard in 1,000 TV shows and movies. If you look it up, you'll know the sound.
It was a good dive. 10 out of 10. They go back to the cabin
Where the fur man is.
where Furman is, and they get in. They just get in. How did they get in? They break the door down.
No, they just... No. The door gets broken down later. They just get in.
They just
He
get in.
talks so much about how he can lock people in and out of this house.
They just get in.
He never does.
And they get their.
Well, I suppose he
bracelets
thinks
back.
they're dead, so why is he going to lock the door?
Because of the wolves. But you can break the back.
They
of the
don't
wolves.
open doors.
They don't open. That is correct. Wolves don't open doors.
I know what you're saying.
But
Anyway, they get in.
they get back. They get their stuff back,
Yes.
and they zap off to the next place. Don't they just leave him? Like those warriors are coming down, and he's like, "Ah, they're coming," and they just teleport off. So he's left there.
But he gets stabbed.
Oh, he gets stabbed. That's right. The door's shut, and the soldiers are banging at the door, and he's like, "No one's going anywhere." And then he gets stabbed in the back.
He tries to trap them in there, so he puts his back towards the door at the front door of the cabin.
Yeah.
And a soldier stabs him through the door, which tells everyone
Yes.
that
Go
there
on.
must be another exit out of the mountain, because how else did those demons or soldiers from the mountain get there?
They flew. They rebuilt the bridge. It's pretty easy.
Well,
Just get some styrofoam tubes.
Well, I'm just saying, it's kind of weird the whole episode we're told that there's no escape if you can't get over the rope bridge, and then 5 seconds later they're there stabbing a man through a door.
Yeah. You know what I've got questions about the next part. So they go to the new place.
Yes, they use the time dial
Yes.
or space dial.
Travel dial.
Travel dial.
I've got, is this a museum? What's happening? How did they get here? What's going on?
And that's the entry to episode 5 of 6 in this story.
Yeah.
Is what?
But even when it starts the next episode, what? Also, by the way, Ian gets knocked out. Like, nice clean hit. Like, the thing's like a meter away from him, and he just falls over.
Well, the man slightly taps him on the back of his shoulder blade. Wouldn't that make you pass out?
Yeah, I guess.
That's because I watched it a couple of times. So they land there. Ian is there by himself in what looks like a jewelry store. The way they have the glass things.
Yeah, I
in
thought it
front
was
of
like
them.
a museum.
Yeah,
But it must be some high security place.
but it looked like Ocean's 11 because he gets knocked out, and then a guy is sneaking around the room with leather gloves on.
I'm just checking here. It actually does say it is Ocean's 11.
What?
It says it was influenced by. They wanted to make the last bit a courtroom drama.
Yes.
So, which is what we get. So, I guess they didn't want to waste time with the setup. They just wanted to be like, Ian's been framed for murder.
Ian's been framed for murder.
A murder that we didn't see that first murder at all. By the way, Ian just comes across a dead body.
We should probably explain what actually happened because we're just kind of talking over it.
Yeah, but no. Explain what happened.
Okay.
Because can you explain what happened?
Well, no, I'm just going to explain.
Just gonna have a drink while I listen to this explanation.
I'm not explaining why it happened. I'm just saying what happened, the events. So they travel to the next area. They're looking for the final key
Oh, where do they land?
in a museum.
Is that where they land? Because it feels like they've landed somewhere else and decided to go to the museum.
I thought he just appeared there. Hang on, let me just...
You explain. I'm sorry.
the way this episode ends
I'll eat a
is
biscuit.
they escape away from the fur man in the cabin by using the travel dial.
Mm-hmm.
The next thing we see is Ian inside this room where he comes across a man on the floor, presumably dead. As Ian is checking on him, he looks around the room and he looks up. He sees the last micro key inside a glass case type thing that you'd see in a museum or a jewelry store. Mm-hmm. Suddenly a man comes from behind him, knocks him out with the lightest touch of all time that goes nowhere near his head. Mm-hmm. That man is wearing leather gloves. He looks like a burglar. Mm-hmm. He sneaks over to where the micro key is. Mm-hmm. Yes, kind of crawling, pouncing along. Smashes the glass, grabs it as an alarm goes off, and rushes out to leave Ian there. But also, he puts a mace in Ian's hand, so it looks like Ian's the one that's murdered the first guy.
Now remember the mace, everyone,
Remember the mace.
because it's quite clever. I actually think that's quite
that
clever.
should be the name of this episode of the podcast.
Remember the mace.
I'm gonna write that
I think
down
the
so I don't
mace
forget.
is quite a clever thing that goes on in this story.
Yes. I wish I'd realised earlier
Yeah,
what was
but
going on, but I did a
how
little
could you
bit
figure
through.
it out? I guess you could figure it out because they said they searched everything in the room.
Yeah.
And they searched both people. But who would think to look at a mace? We'll come to that.
We'll come to that.
So Tyrell, is it Tyrell? Tyron.
Tyrell.
Tyrell is what I first wrote, and then I've crossed it out and put Taryn.
All of a sudden, hip-hop artist Tyrell arrives in the Doctor Who universe.
I said he's a pretty rubbish investigator.
Yes.
He's just like Ian, who was unconscious, by the way, has murdered someone else.
Yeah.
Like, who also Ian defended himself quite well, I thought, because Ian said
Made very valid points.
There's a big bump on my head. I've been knocked out.
I'm being set up.
I'm being set up. And they're like, no, on this planet, law is different. So on your planet, Earth, you're innocent until proven guilty, which I guess is correct. But on this planet, you're guilty until you prove yourself innocent, basically.
They actually say you're guilty and you will be charged and punished unless you manage to have a defense.
Yeah, it's up to you to mount a defense. So it just means like an officer can be like, you did this, and if you don't have a reasonable defense, then you did it.
By the way, that scene I just explained where all the things happen leading up to Ian being knocked out.
Yep.
Did you notice that at the start of the second episode, when they replay that scene, it's not a replay of that scene.
It's not.
It's a fresh reshot of the scene because Ian falls totally differently.
Yeah. And also,
Why?
the mace swing is further from Ian in the previous episode.
Yeah, it's like they're trying to... I don't understand.
They're trying to fix the scene. It was a different take.
I've never seen... I know this is an old show at this point. I have never seen that before where...
Can I just show you something?
A scene that happens in one episode and then shown at the beginning of the next one has been reshot for no reason because nothing different happens.
This list that you're looking at now...
Production errors.
They're all the production areas of just these episodes.
Okay.
All of them.
There's about 25, you reckon? 30?
I would say about 25.
Wow.
Lots of production errors.
It's interesting that... I wonder if they couldn't find that footage or what happened, but I don't know why they reshot that one scene.
One of them just is literally someone trips over their own feet.
Yes.
And they don't fix that scene. They just leave it in.
That happens a couple of times. You know, I forgot to say before, Ian does that on the rope bridge.
Yeah, he does.
Everyone very calmly and clearly walks across, and then he kind of half stumbles.
It just makes it look more real, you know.
But they don't. They just go, that'll do. We're not going to reshoot this. Unless we're reshooting a scene we don't need to reshoot.
Correct.
Then it matters.
All of it. You don't need to reshoot any of it. Because it's lots of lines.
Yeah, but... let's not reshoot the production errors. Let's reshoot the scene that was perfectly fine.
Yeah, that scene was fine.
I mean, as fine as it can go. There was no errors in people stumbling or saying the wrong thing.
No, but I will say this. After this setup, I do very much enjoy this episode.
I love these episodes.
Because it is like a crime. It's so typical. Like, Doctor Who does this weird thing.
Go ahead.
Where it will jump from genre to genre.
Right.
So, like, they've literally, in this series, this arc... They've gone from acid seas to screaming jungle to like snowy death zone to a courtroom.
Yes.
So it's just like
an Ocean's 11 scene.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, okay, we're doing this now, and the Doctor's now like a lawyer.
Yeah, he
rocks up again. But yes, sorry.
He makes, you know, those classic movies or TV shows where the cool character is about to rock up and they do this thing where they burst through the door and there's this cool music and it makes them look really cool. Like what Brooklyn Nine-Nine does when it's making fun of that cliche.
Yes.
The Doctor does one of those, like, the boss is back.
And now, we did say last week he'd been on holidays, and it says in here
yes,
that he is going to return. So it says... William Hartnell does not appear in The Snows of Terror. The actor was on holidays. When he returns in the sentence of death, he is more energetic and refreshed. Oh, and I think that is spot on.
Yes.
He is so energetic.
I want to actually apologise for what I said in the last episode of this podcast.
Yeah.
About how annoyed I was with the Doctor and his bad, like, stumbling over the lines, which doesn't change in this episode.
No.
But I like him so much in this episode because of the energy and how eccentric he is.
And I think...
it's really good.
I think he's probably... By this point, it is quite a popular show. So he's probably like... feels a bit more like a superstar.
Yeah.
So he...
he pushes into it.
Yeah. And he's so, like... Even the way, like, he like laughs and says like weird stuff, like it's more like
he's hamming it up.
It's more positive than like grumpy old man, you know, like he's kind of turned a corner. He's like, actually, these people are alright, and I'll save this guy from. Because you remember the first episode where they're like in caveman times, he doesn't really care about Ian and Barbara, and now he's like, okay, I'll defend this guy in court.
I'll be a lawyer.
Yeah.
It's up to me.
Up to me. And he calls him, they do call him the doc. He's addressed even by people who don't know him as the Doctor now.
Yeah.
Which is good, because that's kind of what just happens.
Yeah.
I always find the funny thing about his name is the fact that people just roll with it. Like, he's just like, I'm the Doctor. This is Ian, Barbara, and Susan, and I'm the Doctor. And people just go, yeah, okay.
In no other context would that work.
Yeah.
He just goes with it.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, they're in a city of Marinus, I put.
Yeah, I thought it was like Millennius. Something like that.
Now I put here again, Altos should put some pants on. Because he's still not wearing pants, and he's in a courtroom.
He's still got that fur G-banger going on.
Oh, gosh.
It's not my fault. That's what he wore.
Yeah, I know, but every time you say it.
That's the point.
So I liked the fact that the Doctor sends. So the Doctor does his big entrance, and Ian's like, "I'm going to need someone to represent me," and the Doctor's like, "I'm your man. That's going to be me."
Yeah. And
so they get into the courtroom, and the Doctor, and everyone seems to celebrate this, handedly, but he's just like, I need like a couple of days to get some evidence. And everyone's like, yeah, sure, that sounds reasonable. And everyone's like, oh, good work, Doctor. It's like, yeah, no, that just sounds like a reasonable courtroom.
Very reasonable courtroom. A couple of things to say about the courtroom.
Yep.
Did you like the noodle hats worn by the judge?
Mm-hmm. And the judges all had the same beard too.
They did.
You know how, like, they always talk about the judges with, like, the white hair thing?
Yes.
This must be, like, their version of that. Because they all had the same beard.
But the noodle hats.
Yeah, they were good hats.
It was pretty good. Did you like how the Doctor rolled his R's when he was trying to speak eloquently in front of the judges? Did you notice that?
Yeah, I did notice that.
I want to interview witnesses, read statements. He spoke like that for no reason, because he doesn't really talk like that.
No, but
in court,
but
in front of noodle judges.
Yeah,
he does.
I mean, eventually he'll roll his R's.
Oh, okay. This is the first time I've noticed it, and he does it a couple of times.
So I put some solid detective work by the Doctor, because they go check out the crime scene.
Yes.
And they do a bit of a reenactment.
Yes.
And so, I mean, I'm not exactly sure how he deduced everything.
No.
And I also was a little bit annoyed that he was like, I know where the key is, but I don't have enough evidence, so I'm not even going to say it.
That's a good point, because that'll come to a question later, so I won't say it now. It's just the bathroom door closing for no reason. That's not creepy at all.
There's wind.
It's the fur man. I have a couple of things to say about the reenactments.
Yes, go for it. I don't have anything to say.
Was he purposefully giving a little nod to Sherlock Holmes by saying elementary when asked about the crime scene?
I think it's a thing he just says. I think it comes up again.
But I don't.
But he could be referencing Sherlock.
Yeah, what I mean is, do you think people who wrote the show did that as a fun, like...
Probably, because it's a bit of it's a detective thing going on.
Yeah.
And Sherlock Holmes is a detective.
Also, in the reenactment, Barbara is playing Ian. The Doctor is playing the person who knocks out Ian. And when he hits Barbara on the back, it's probably 5 times as hard as when it actually happens to Ian.
Yeah, but Barbara's stronger than Ian.
That's true, but I just was like, whoa, we have this really lame knockout scene, and then the Doctor's just like, whack, on the back of her.
So they said... So the Doctor works out that the person that must have done the murder...
Yeah.
Must have been the first one on the scene?
To investigate it.
Yeah, to investigate it.
Yeah.
So he sends Barbara and Susan to go talk to them. And that guy's name is Aiden or something like that?
Yeah.
Aiden.
A-Y-D-E-N.
Yeah. So he they go check out his house, and they meet his wife or woman, whatever, his girlfriend.
His woman?
You know what I mean.
Whoa. What is this? Earlier than 2018? Jeez.
This is 1963.
Oh, right, you're right. He can say that.
Carla?
We've just cancelled the Doctor.
Oh,
I'm just kidding.
Carla.
Yes.
Okay, so
The
they
wife
meet her
of the investigator.
first, and she's like, "Oh, he's already told the investigators everything."
She seems pretty chill.
She seems fine. She probably is fine. Anyway, Aiden rocks up. And he's like, "What are you two doing here? You're with Ian and the doctor."
Who is already presumed guilty by everybody. So he's
Yeah.
kind of like, why are you here? I don't want to talk to you.
And they're like, "Oh no, we have some questions." And Susan just comes out and says, like, I know where the key is. And he is so bad at hiding any secret. He's like, "How could you? But I I shouldn't say anything else."
See, this goes back to Susan being the hero. The classic move of make the person admit it by saying something they don't expect.
And this happens to this person again.
Yes.
Okay, so he almost fell for it this time, and then he definitely falls for it the next time. He tells her to get out, and she's like, no, and then he goes to, like, take a swing at her. Like, he raises his hand to hit her.
Oh, jeez.
And then they leave.
They leave.
And he gets angry at Carla for letting them in, and he, presumably, not seen on screen, but you hear it, hits his wife.
They're kind of peering through the keyhole at what's going on, and we don't see that. But
Yeah.
it sounds like he's hurting her.
Yeah.
It's quite unsettling.
Yeah, it is. And it made me go, if this is a family show, is that, I don't know. I just wonder how it was received at the time.
It was his woman, as I think you referred
But you
to
can't
it.
just hit people.
No, of course not. I'm just...
But I just wonder if, like, we had the other week where Susan had a pair of scissors and a bunch of people rang up to complain, if people would have complained about that at that time.
True.
So...
Because it's clearly being done to show that he's not a good person. I don't think it's being shown as like, this is fine.
But I feel like you would have gone the sense that he's a horrible person with him just shouting at her.
Without the domestic violence.
Yeah.
Probably.
But I guess other shows have it because they're supposed to be bad people.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know. I just wonder at the time if it would have been like, ooh.
Controversial or not.
Yeah. Next page.
Next page.
I've got a quote here that says, "Someone wishes to speak with you." So they go back.
Yes.
What have you got next?
I have something that I didn't
I feel
wanna...
like I haven't written down something. They
happened?
leave him.
They go back and meet with the doctor back at the spot before, and they're discussing the case.
That's right.
But I just want to quickly say something that we missed, and it's to do with what we said about the doctor stumbling over his lines. There's a very obvious point where the doctor says that he knows where the key is, and they say, like you said, tell us, and he says no, and he says, I can't tell you because I can't improve at the moment. And then he goes, no, I can't prove at the moment what's happened with him.
It. Yes.
But it's so obviously him saying the wrong line. It's not reshot. He just goes, I can't improve at the moment. And Barbara looks at him like, excuse me.
You mean the actress Jacqueline Hill is just like,
What he... and he just says the line and they roll with it.
well, probably because,
Go ahead.
they don't want to reshoot it.
Unless it's a scene that doesn't need to be reshot like at the beginning.
Or it just doesn't involve the doctor, because then it's easier to reshoot.
No, that's what it is. He probably was like, no, I'm a superstar.
But the doctor's still trying to work out how to do his case.
Yep.
I think what happens then...
A lot
I feel
happens,
like
so we're getting...
I feel like this is just another time where it kind of cuts, weirdly.
I think so.
Because suddenly Barbara is just with Altos and Sebetha.
Bethesda.
And she... they're in the courtroom, aren't they?
Yes.
Because...
the trial started.
Sebetha is called to the stand.
They had a pre-trial and now the trial started.
And she's like, I've got the key right here. Isn't that right?
Yes.
Yes, so
yes.
she's like, I've got the key, and the doctor's like, who gave you the key? And she's like, it's the same person who killed whatever his name was.
The first guard.
The
who
first
we never
guard.
find out about.
Yeah, and he's like, are they in this room? And she's like, yes, it's him. She points at Aiden,
Yeah.
who
The domestic abuser.
says, how can you have that? So he again is just like tricked into like revealing the fact that he's guilty. He dies
All of a sudden.
suddenly, shot in the back, but who's behind him? And the judges decide that it has no relevance to Ian's guilt.
Yes. Because they say you could
still be in cahoots with this person.
Yeah, you could be working together. So even though this man has just been killed for no reason,
Yeah.
after it sounded like he was going to reveal something that might be helpful to your case, you're still guilty.
You're still guilty. Because you still could have killed that first guy, even though Aiden has basically admitted to having had the key.
Yeah.
Just feel like there's lots of holes in that case.
They tried. Well, I think they do a good job of covering it up by saying this is just how the legal system is. You have to have like a full definitive proof that you're not guilty. So it kind of makes sense. But when you understand it through our eyes of knowing how a court system would actually work,
And you knowing law things.
to a degree, but anyone could see this is ridiculous. Yeah.
So yeah,
So it makes no difference. He's still going to be found guilty.
he's still going to be guilty. And so I think this is the point where it does like a weird cut to Susan is out talking to Altos and Sebetha. Mm-hmm. Carla's did a big like, no, not my husband thing, even though he seems to be treating her really horribly. Yeah, whatever. And then they're outside.
There's some commentary that could happen there, but let's move on. This is the Doctor Who podcast. The fur man is slamming the door again.
Oh, did you want to close it?
No.
Okay.
I think it's funny.
Oh, okay. So Susan, sorry,
He's talking to Altos and...
no, Barbara is talking to Altos and Sebetha, and
Okay,
suddenly
let
she
us know
gets a
what you-
phone call. The guy picks up the phone and is immediately says, like, picks up the phone, doesn't say hello, but just says, they want to talk to you.
By the way, the phone looks like a hairdryer.
It's a good hairdryer, though.
Yeah.
Barbara is like, yep. Susan's on the other end of the line, and she says, "Oh, they're gonna kill me."
Bum, bum, bum.
And then end of that episode, and we're on to the last one.
Last one. 6 of 6.
Barbara does a really good job, I think, in the next scene of like putting everything together, though.
Yes.
So she like thinks it all out.
This episode is actually called The Keys of Marinus.
Yes,
This is like the peak episode, I guess, of the arc.
and so they go and visit Carla.
By the way, we forgot to mention...
Did we? Okay, go.
Sorry, this is annoying. But when Sebetha reveals the key in the courtroom to get this other guy to say, oh no, you can't have the key, we find out it was the fake key that they picked up earlier in the story arc. So that was the trick.
Oh yeah.
We forgot to mention that that's what the key was. It was the fake key. The one that was on top of the statue, the creepy statue that grabbed them around the butt and the thighs and then took them into the wall. There's a lot of creepy things in this story arc.
Yeah.
I don't like this Marinus.
You sound like you did enjoy it at the start.
Yeah, these episodes are great. I love it.
So Carla's like, no, leave me alone, I'm grieving. And then, so she's crying and they leave. I'm not sure if anything else really happened in that scene, apart from trying to convince her to talk.
Yeah, they still want her to help, and she's like, I need time to grieve, I'm not interested.
And they go outside, and she goes from crying to laughing.
Evil villain.
And I was like, what a great villain.
Yeah.
I thought it was a really good twist.
It was, and it was pretty well done.
Yeah.
She was good.
She goes next to her and she's like, Susan, they were just here. They're not coming back. You're doomed.
And
So
Susan is in this room, tied to a chair, thing over her mouth. She's like,
it looks like she's just in a big cupboard.
yeah.
Like a walk-in wardrobe, but you've tied someone up in there.
Yeah, a walk-in kidnapper's room. It's a lovely feature.
It could be a panic room.
I think she was panicking.
No.
Bottom tish. Oh, snow.
Hey, Snow. Snow, no. What? Snow?
And I've just written here, they have to save Susan once again.
Uh-huh.
I don't think there's been one story arc so far that hasn't required them saving Susan from something.
To be fair,
Go ahead.
a lot of the time, the Doctor or the companions of the Doctor have to save another companion from something.
But have some space between it.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
And look, it probably gets less and less as the show goes on because the companions stop being so much of a damsel in distress and more of like a more useful.
And it makes sense that was the cliche at the time. So it makes sense. I'm not trying to be annoying, but Susan seems annoying. If I was the Doctor, I don't care if she's my granddaughter, which, by the way, spoilers, I don't think she is. But I just leave her behind on one of these travels.
I did miss something. I said William Russell needs an award for his falling down acting. He's the guy who plays Ian. He gets to fall down a lot.
He does. In fact, I remember you telling me that was going to be the case because we'd seen it already, but now he's really
leaning into that.
Falling into that.
Ooh. Barbara works everything out again, and they go back to Carla's place.
Yep.
How did they get in?
The same way they got into the fur man's cabin at the end of that episode.
Does it open the door? Does she
Ta-da!
not lock the door? She's got a child that she's kidnapped in there.
That is a thing that happens a lot, is that people just can walk into any house.
Maybe people just didn't lock doors back then.
True. Unless it's to keep someone in to fatten them up.
And even then, they just have to bite you and then they can open the door.
That's true.
I said, classic Doctor setting a little trap. So Carla says they get Carla because they save Susan and Carla gets arrested.
Mm-hmm.
But Carla's like, the person I work with, it's Ian.
Yeah.
And
that's
so,
her sworn statement.
Again, it's like, great.
This hasn't helped.
Yeah. But the Doctor is sitting outside the courtroom.
Yep.
And because he obviously knows where the key is. And so, is it the fact that, because the next thing I remember happening is the Doctor reveals, they say that the man that is after the key is going to come and collect it.
Yeah, because they hear a phone call where before Carla was captured, she's told by the man, he's going to get the key, move her back at the apartment, and they're going to escape. So they now know that at some point this guy is going to go after the key wherever he's hidden it.
And that I was very happy with that information.
Very happy.
Very happy. And so they get him, and it's... Is that Taryn? I kept getting confused about who was who, because they all looked pretty much the same.
No, it wasn't. It was the prosecutor in the trial. It wasn't the detective at the beginning.
It was... it's the prosecutor, but
Yeah.
what's his name?
Not Aiden.
Because he shakes the Doctor's hand and he's like, good defense, but I gotcha.
Pretty much. Taryn was a good guy the whole way through. And
he was served. Taryn, is it Lan or Ison?
Ison, I think. That sounds more familiar.
Lan is this guy. Oh my gosh, I love how they just give characters names. So Lan is this guy that was like, the phone is for you, Barbara.
The admin. Basically the prison admin guy.
Yes, no, it is Ison. It is
I remember
Ison.
that now.
So Ison...
the prosecutor is the guy behind it all.
Yeah.
Comes back for the key.
The key, which is where?
Locked in where the prison goods are from the prisoners.
And we're inside the...
mace.
Inside the mace. And then they put it all together because the Doctor's like, of course, that's the only place it could be because you searched in and the body and the room, but you didn't think to search like inside the mace.
Because the reason they were so sure at the beginning that Ian was guilty was they said the scanner has proved that no one else is coming in and out of this room. The key has to be somewhere here. And it wasn't on Ian's body, it wasn't on the dead body. So it must have been put somewhere else in the room, but this Ison guy has cleverly put it inside the mace that was in Ian's hand. And because they just saw it as a weapon, they just put it away in the locker, I guess.
I think that was good. I liked that.
I did like that a lot.
Very clever.
At what point did you realise that's where it was? Was it when it happened in the show? Because I realised maybe 5 minutes before.
I realised before he said it. I wouldn't be able to say when.
Because I think they do a shot of the stuff in the prison locker and the mace is there.
Yeah,
and
it is.
I realised.
He's even holds it and is like, you can lock this all up now.
That maybe it was obvious, but that's when I noticed.
Yeah. And so they have that last key.
But, question.
Yep.
This is the question I was going to ask you earlier. Do you really think the Doctor knew all the time where the key was? Or do you think he said that?
It's hard to know.
Because what I mean is, in terms of you knowing the history of the show and how the Doctor works.
Yeah, look, he probably did know it was there, but he also has a history of being like, wanting to look smart before figuring it all out.
Because that's what I felt like.
Yeah.
I felt like he just said that. Because then, when he...
Sorry. I was going to say, it's a pretty classic, like, 7th Doctor trait. Who knows all the knows his plan, but doesn't really tell anyone. And then at the end, he's like, "Time to save the day." So yeah, foreshadowing.
I don't know what any of that means, but all I was going to say was he seemed pretty excited when he put it all together that the guy was going to come back from for the key, and I thought he was excited because all they had to do was watch where Ison went. So I think he figured out at that point where the key was. So when he said it earlier, he was just kind of saying it to be like, let's focus on the trial. Yeah. Anyway. Ian gets acquitted.
Yep, and they're like, let's get out of here.
Not only that,
They get
given the key and a written ordinance from the city, have the 5th key.
Yeah, it's nice.
It's nice.
And then they do the on-screen teleporting again, that really cool effect of them. I think it looks really cool the way they just
very good
disappear
in front of a black screen.
Yeah,
except
they have to stand in front of the black screen
because they suddenly go, "Let's teleport now," and then jog on over to this other spot in the room that's completely black.
Yeah.
But did you notice? And we can have a look at it if you want. We don't have to. When they do it, when there's the 3 of them that do it at first.
Yeah.
You can actually see that the actors are still there because one of them moves in the shadow on the wall behind them.
Yes, that is one of the production errors. I did check that.
I saw that.
Yeah.
That was hilarious.
Now, the rest of the episode happens quite quickly, I think.
Yeah, because I don't know if it was rushed, but it felt like it.
Because they rock back up to Arbison's place.
That's it. I'm glad you remembered.
And
it was Arby something.
But he's dead. We saw him die already. We saw him die in the first episode.
Yeah.
And this is again one of those points where they've all ended up in different places. And so we have to just kind of like piece it together ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So the Doctor's landed somewhere different to Ian and Barbara and the rest of the crew. And Susan is somewhere different as well.
Yeah, these travel dials are not...
They're not very accurate.
They travel back to where Arbiton was because now they've got all the keys.
Yeah, and there's a bad guy. He's a Vord?
Yes, one of the plastic men we talked about.
Yartek. Yartek is his name.
Okay.
Yartek is his name.
He was the plastic man.
He's a Vord.
Who looks like the Watcher dude from the Thor movies if he was covered completely in plastic head to toe.
Exactly. That's exactly what they were aiming for in 1963.
The Plastic Man.
The Plastic Man.
And he's going to use the device and the keys for a terrible thing that we don't quite...
Yeah, I don't quite know.
To control everybody?
Because isn't it like a big... It's like a weapon thing of some kind.
I think it's similar...
Acts as a defense.
Well, I thought it was similar to back in the earlier episode in the Ark when people saw only good things when it was all terrible. And it was like a mind control type device.
It could be that.
And so the reason the keys were all split up is because it was so powerful. Arvidsson didn't want anyone to really get hold of it.
Yes.
Which is why you create a device that can do it in the first place.
And he wanted them to get the keys so that they could stop the Vords?
From getting the keys?
Yes.
and having access to the device that was created to do that in the first place.
Instead, we didn't see the Vords at any of these locations until we got back here. So really, they just brought all the keys to them.
Yeah. Anyone who knows Metal Gear Solid, this is a side note, will know exactly. It's the same thing that happens in Metal Gear Solid.
Okay.
There you go, the end.
Very interesting.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So, I thought it was really good that the Doctor's cane is actually quite good at knocking out Vords.
Yes.
Even though he's an old man and they're wearing thick plastic.
Yes.
But I suppose they just look like that. Like, that mustn't be clothing. That's just what they look like.
Yeah.
So he's just hitting them.
And it's their skin.
It's their skin.
But to us, it just looks like a person wearing plastic.
Yeah. And Ian gives Yartek, who, by the way, pretends to be Arbiton.
Yeah, he's
wears
got the big
his
white
clothes.
cloak on.
It's like, don't come closer. Like, there's definitely something wrong here. He doesn't sound like him. I'm just unwell. Are you?
Can you hear me through my plastic suit? Don't worry about the hood of my jacket being 2 foot tall. It's nothing to do with my costume.
No. But Ian gives him the key. He's like, give me the key and go get your friends.
The final key.
Yep.
Also, question.
Yep.
How did he get the first 4 keys? I thought the group had them.
Yes.
Or did they come back and give it to Arbiton?
I think what happened was Sebetha had them. And she and Altus are caught. Because you remember there's that scene where he's like, this person doesn't mean anything to you, we'll just kill him.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And we didn't even mention that, but that scene did happen.
Yeah. To reveal where the last key is.
Yes.
That's true.
And I think she
that.
had all of them and Ian just had the fake one. Or he must have had one real one and one fake one. Because he gave them the fake one.
Yeah.
So Ian gives them the fake one and they try to escape. Because Altos somehow knows that if the fake key is put in...
Into the Doomsday device?
It will blow up.
Yeah. How does he know this?
Well, wait, isn't Arbiton Sebetha's father?
I think so.
So she must just know.
And she's told him.
By association, he knows.
I guess that makes sense. So if he gets the real key, he gets to control everyone. If he gets the fake key, everything blows up.
Yeah. People who know what really this is about are so angry right now.
We're happy for you to explain it to us in the comments of any of the things that you may be listening to this on, because we want to know.
Yeah.
But we're not going to rewatch it to learn. We'll learn it from you.
Yes.
This is just our...
I'm not going back now.
No, this is our first view commentary on a show from
Once we get
1963.
to the modern episodes, we'll go back and rewatch them all.
Okay. Also, at some point, they split up again. And I just want to say big tick. They've done that in this episode. Of course they do. They do it in every episode. Bunch of losers. Just stay together. It's not hard.
They try and find a way out because they know the place is going to blow up.
Yep.
And they don't know which wall is the right wall. And then there's a very good visual effect of the explosion happening.
Yes.
That whoosh.
That black and white thing they did earlier
With
for...
the Daleks.
Yeah,
when the
that's
Daleks
what it
shoot
was.
someone.
Yeah.
So it must be one of the few effects they can do. But it looked good.
It did.
And then they do some falling down, and the team gets out of the building. They manage to find the right wall, and then sudden cut again.
Yep.
We're back at the TARDIS.
Yeah, very, very suddenly.
Yeah.
There was no fade out. It was just, we're back.
Yeah, and they do a classic like
You said doo-doo.
time to say goodbye.
With Altos and Bethesda.
Yeah. Sebetha. And then they get into their miniature box. It materializes. You know how there's the model again of it?
Yeah.
And it zooms out and you can see the building in the background. You're like, this is very clearly a miniature set. But I loved it. I was like, that looks good.
And also, Altos just says to the Doctor here, have the final 5th micro key that wasn't used in the device.
He's like, you keep this. Which makes me wonder...
Yes, because I have a question.
Will the key come back?
That's my question, because I thought maybe it somehow becomes a staple thing in the Doctor Who universe that you know about, the micro key, and you've been sitting there this whole time going, oh, that's where it comes from.
No.
Okay.
But that being said, he does just pick up things.
he loves studying different civilizations and learning from them. So I'm assuming he collects things from them. But because it's a micro key, it's not just a random.
Look, it could have popped up
trinket.
again because there are times when he's just rifling through stuff that he's collected, and random stuff is just there, and you're like, oh, what's that from?
And maybe it happens in some of these episodes you haven't seen yet.
Ooh.
So he has a micro key now, for what it's worth.
He has a micro key.
One of
they take
5.
off, and this is one of the few times where they take off. And it's not some cliffhanger, like they haven't landed somewhere else. It's like, come back next time, you know. They just take off, and it's a nice ending.
Nice and smooth. First time for them for a while. Unless it happened in those 7 episodes that were erased from existence that we didn't get to see.
Yeah. Trivia? Okay, so I'm just going to move my microphone. So if you hear sounds, it's also my chair moving because there is a lot of trivia here. There's just a few that I want to focus on.
Go ahead. Make sure you speak into the mic.
Speak it.
Speak into the mic while you're reading the trivia.
Hello. You have to edit that.
No.
Someone's just going to be like flinching when my voice gets loud suddenly.
And then you're going to turn to the screen and it'll get low again.
Terry Nation.
Yes.
He's the first returning writer. So he wrote the Daleks.
Yeah.
And then he wrote this. Now they got him to write this for a specific reason.
Okay.
And that is that they're hoping that the Vords the popularity of them would take off like the Daleks did. And induce what is called, and I know you're gonna have some questions about this, but there's a thing called Dalek Mania.
Okay.
So Dalek Mania was like everyone saw the Daleks and were like, oh my gosh, Daleks, and so it started like a series of like movies and toy sales. I think
Even this early in.
Yeah, I think that what we should do is in one of our special episodes, maybe at Christmas, we should watch the Doctor Who and the Daleks movie.
Agreed.
Because it is not... So I'm just going to say this because this is all linked to this episode.
Yeah.
Because they mentioned Dalek Mania in the trivia. The Daleks are such a hit that basically they make a movie that features the Daleks as the villains, and it still has a Doctor, but his name, and you're gonna love this, in the movies is Doctor Who. His name is Doctor Who. Okay, and he's unrelated to the Doctor. It's just like a different universe.
Is it a different actor?
It's a different actor. It's not
Cushing.
Cushing, Peter Cushing.
Is he not one of the main Doctors you ever see again?
No.
What?
He's not a Time Lord. They just call him a human. He's just a human. But his name's Doctor Who. Oh. He travels with, I think, his 2 daughters, Susan and Barbara.
Okay, so it's inspired by.
It's inspired by, and they come across, I think, a police officer called Ian Chesterton. But that's all I thinks. I haven't watched it.
That's all I thinks?
That's all I think has happened.
Right.
The cool thing is that the actor who plays Ian in that movie, he ends up being in the real, like, proper Doctor Who show later on as a different character.
Okay.
But Peter Cushing is Grand Moff Tarkin from Star Wars. He plays Doctor Who. You know the guy in the very first Star Wars movie, like A New Hope.
Okay, the real first one.
The real first one, and he's like in charge of like the Death Star.
The one that gets choked.
Yeah, no. I want to find.
I think I know. He's the old guy with grey hair.
Everyone can see me furiously typing.
For those wondering, Matthew is Google searching a man.
This guy.
That's who I thought it was. Are you sure he doesn't get choked out by Darth Vader at some point? Oh,
no.
That's his face when he's watching it happen.
What do you mean?
There's a scene where a guy annoys Darth Vader in the boardroom, so he chokes him out, and all the other guys are like, "Whoa!"
Yeah, Darth
That's
Vader.
him watching it.
Yeah, he's like that.
Okay, so it's him.
But he looks like this.
He's a much more sprightly young fellow. Oh, not really at all.
Look at that. Okay. Look at that hair.
Whoa, he's got a little mo going on as well. I'm going to throw that. Okay, that picture. I'm going to throw that into the episode on YouTube.
Or this one, or this one,
I'm just going to cycle through them. Oh, he's looking fancy.
or this one.
Oh,
So they do it because of the
Doctor
Daleks,
Who.
and then so he's they look pretty cool
more like Doctor Who.
because it's in. Whoa. Just let me find out. I feel like this is our trivia has taken a bit of a tangent.
This show was all about tangents.
Where's Dalek Mania? I need to get like a lapel mic.
Can I make a quick guess while you're searching?
Mm-hmm.
The Vord never took off nearly as much because I've never heard of them.
They never turned up again. I don't think.
And
They
also-
turned up in expanded universe stuff.
I just want to say to you, if they'd asked if I was live in 1963, I could have told them it wasn't going to take off. They were awful.
Dalek Mania was the name given to the excitement created when the Daleks were first introduced in Doctor Who in 1963. Their appearance in the Daleks, originally intended to be their only one, generated greater interest in the series and merchandise, which included toys, books, movies, and many televised serials.
Wow.
Televised sequels. Dalek Mania was also the name given to a calendar range that ran it until 2009.
Whoa. So for like 40 years.
And the funny thing is...
More than that, maybe. Just on the 50 years.
Yes, although it could be like the show where it has that break.
Yeah, true.
Because the show returns in 2005.
And then by 2009, they were like, we've got
we've
real
done this.
graphics now, so
Forget you.
let's have some...
Let me just find...
Man.
This is going to be the last thing.
No, it's trivia. You mean last thing you have to look up?
Doctor Who and the Daleks is a theatrical film released in... So there's Peter Cushing's name. It was released in 1965. So the Daleks appeared in the TV series and then they made a movie 2 years later.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. There was something else, some other small bits of trivia.
Yes.
So this is the first story which shows the on-screen materialization of the TARDIS disappearing and appearing.
True, it does.
Mm.
And actually, because they were able... Well, I guess
A
maybe...
model of the TARDIS, anyway, yes.
Because they were able to do that, why didn't they do that with the actors? Because it looked pretty cool the way it disappeared, but I guess because it was a model, it would have been easier.
Yes, probably.
A miniature.
I don't think there's anything else that... I mean, they wanted to get Terry Nation in to get some Daleks stuff going again.
So he said, here, have the Vord.
Well, interestingly, I think this might explain some of our odd cuts and things. So I'm going to read you this bit.
Yep.
I'm going to put it over here so then I can look at the microphone properly.
Whoa, and the text is bigger.
Whoa. So I'll read out this whole bit. This is from the TARDIS wiki thing. But it says, Terry Nation developed more background in his script that then was made explicit on screen in the finished production.
Van was, oh yeah.
So he had more stuff going on. The Vord were alien invaders who took advantage of the people of Marinus, rendered vulnerable by the pacifying effects of the conscience. The conscience was then deactivated to allow the Marinians to fight the Vord, and over the centuries, the time they spent on Marinus meant that the Vord too could now be affected by the machine. Therefore, Arbiton dispatched agents to recover the keys which could reactivate the conscience and allow him to finally defeat the invaders. So I feel like that would have given it a bit more depth.
So basically the whole reason for this entire story arc and travelling to many locations was not given to us.
I don't think so.
I don't feel like that's what we were told.
No, I know the Vord were invading, and I know the keys were used for a weapon of some kind of defense, but
And that was it.
All
It
right.
must be annoying for someone like that, like Terry Nation, who has this cool idea and story.
He should have been like, guys, I made the Daleks. You know, like, he should have been like,
Kind of a big deal.
Just let me do my thing. But it is also very early days still.
True.
This is episode 20-something to onwards or something.
22? 21 to 26.
21 to 26.
I didn't see it, it's okay.
Okay, I think that's... Oh, do we rate it? We're rating it now.
We're rating it now.
Okay, so... It had lots of ups and downs.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think... I still liked the episode where everything didn't turn out to be as good as it seemed.
That was okay.
And I didn't think much of the jungle episode, the Screaming Jungle.
I hated that.
And I didn't
Except for that cool creature with the arms that hugs women.
And I like the courtroom
Yes.
episodes.
I'm a sucker for courtroom dramas.
But
That
there was
great.
also lots of weird cuts that made the story a bit nonsensical.
Including the entire reason for the story arc. Yes.
So out of 13 Doctors, I think I'm going to give it a Sylvester McCoy. So a 7.
I'm in complete agreement.
7?
I'm telling you now, before the last 3 episodes that we reviewed in this episode of this podcast, it was going to be a 3 maybe.
John Pertwee.
Okay. The last 3 episodes bumped it way up for me, but I can't go past 7 because it started very badly for me.
Yeah.
It was alright.
It was alright.
It ended really well.
Yeah.
I loved the courtroom stuff.
I did like the courtroom stuff.
And the
saved
doctor, he was definitely refreshed.
He was definitely refreshed. It's funny how this one still scores so highly and he just wasn't even in 2 of the episodes.
Let's not. I don't think we should go there, but yes, I know what you're saying.
Okay.
Good times.
So the next story is called The Aztecs. And I definitely checked, it does exist.
Okay.
Okay?
Unfortunately, with a show like Doctor Who in 1963, we have to do that now.
But it is 4 episodes long, so I think we'll do it all in one.
Agreed?
Does that sound good?
Yes. I think it'll make it easier because, unfortunately, with more episodes and story arc, when we split it up, we get ourselves confused about what the story is.
Yes, well, to be fair, this one had just an annoying story. But
And it was mostly
but we do
coming
end
up.
up talking for a long time.
Okay, let's wrap this up.
So I'm just going to show you the picture.
Yep.
Okay, so this is the picture for next week.
The Aztecs. Okay.
What's going on here?
So Barbara is wearing fancy clothes and headgear. She's looking... Okay, it's called the Aztecs or whatever, but I don't know. She's looking like some Egyptian queen or something.
I can see that.
She's looking pretty boss, pretty ballin'. And the doctor on her left is saying or whispering something to
On her right. To the left of her.
To our left. Oh,
our
I'm
left,
sorry.
I'm just get it right.
He's looking a bit cheeky and he's saying... I think he's saying something mean about Ian. He has that cheeky look about him.
He's like, oh, yes, well, whatever.
Look at him fall over again. What a loser.
He's very good at falling over, though.
He is.
Okay.
I like that screenshot. It looks cool.
Thank you. I didn't make it.
Yeah, why are you saying thank you?
Because I picked it.
No, the internet picked it for you.
Shazam.
Okay.
I'm tired. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the end of the episode.
Thanks for listening if you're still here.
Yeah, they are.
Thank you. That's what I'm saying.
They can also like and share if they enjoyed the episode on things like Spotify and Apple Podcasts and YouTube.
Facebook, Instagram.
Oh yeah, you can follow us on
TikTok,
Facebook.
Twitter.
I don't like TikTok, but
I
you
don't care.
you do what you want.
Yes.
All those tick and talks.
By the way, if the episode is too long, don't worry. On YouTube and other things like that, we're going to have highlights and
Time
little
codes.
clips and things like that.
Ooh.
So it's not going to be just...
The part where we talk about Peter Cushing.
No.
Okay.
But yes, there's going to be highlights and things that are like a few minutes long. It's not going to just be 1.5 hour mammoth discussions of episodes. But mostly that.
Mostly. Anything else? Oh, you can drop us an email if you have questions.
Yep.
Or you can send us questions on Messenger on Facebook as well, and probably message us on other platforms.
And our email is thefanandthefool@gmail.com.
Easy to remember.
Yes.
I think that's it.
Bye.
See ya.
What are you doing?
I'm reversing the polarity of my ultrasonic screwdriver's power source.
Reverse the polarity.
Reverse the polarity.
I just reversed the polarity.
Reverse the polarity.